My 25F boyfriend, 28M, sides differently than me on many controversial topics. Hello everyone, I'm not exactly sure how to sort out my thoughts and feelings on this predicament, and am hoping for some advice, clarification. When I was 23 at the end of 2021, I met my now boyfriend of 1.5 years, he was 26 at the time, through an app. He was so intriguing to me and I found myself pretty drawn to him, and the feelings were mutual. I just now turned 25 and he's 28, and I think the development of my frontal lobe is causing me to become increasingly concerned with the interesting beliefs and behaviors my boyfriend holds. I want to establish that this man is incredibly sweet, considerate, kind, open-minded, intelligent, responsible, hard-working and one of the most loyal, honest, and grounded men I have had the luck of meeting. He can make me laugh, I find him incredibly sexy, I'm comfortable and feel safe around him, and I consider him a man of high integrity and trust him more than anyone else, even sometimes myself. He's my first boyfriend and I love the shit out of him, and I honestly wouldn't trade him for the world. But when we started dating there were some concerns, though I honestly was very curious about him, so I made an effort to understand where he was coming from. I am pretty pro-vaccine, majoring in biology and working as a lab technician in a hospital, and he told me after a couple of dates that he was not vaccinated for COVID-19. He had some concerns about the morality of government forcing citizens to take this new vaccine, when there is not enough science about its effects and efficacy, and hated the idea that big biotech was playing a hand in the government's decision as they had financial incentive. I can honestly see where he's coming from, but he eventually was forced to get the vaccine if he wanted to continue to work. Still, I was very anxious about his refusal to be vaccinated, but he says that if it was something I felt strongly about and voiced about my and my family's safety, he would get it. That was really the biggest issue in 2021-2022, as we were coming out of the pandemic. However, there have been some divisive issues we disagree on that still bother me. We don't really use labels, but I would describe myself as a progressive, liberal, leftist, voting for Bernie and not so enthusiastically voting for Clinton in 2016, and Biden in 2020. He's more a centrist libertarian, voting for Bernie and then voting for Andrew Yang in 2020. To give a better picture, he's also a fan of the JRE podcast and Jordan Peterson. I can accept it, but I can see the plus sides of both of these figures, but abhors Andrew Tate and Ben Shapiro. He does find Elon Musk funny and is often as aggravated with PC, woke, culture. So we find ourselves sometimes disagreeing on political issues like social welfare, tax policies, foreign policy with China, gun regulation, what exactly free speech in this country means, and most recently, legislation about transgender athletes. Usually, these are intellectual and detached discussions, but occasionally I find myself personally concerned about the implications of his conclusions. And when it comes to opinions on current pop culture or celebrity news, I find that I honestly get somewhat appalled. Siding with Tory Lanez in the Shooting Meg scandal, being against the cancellation of Louis C.K. and Dave Chappelle, the anger with he talks about some female celebrities, etc. Finally, in a more heated debate about transgender women participating in athletics, in which he is against them participating with cisgender women, he watches MMA fights and the UFC, so he's more against the anecdotal and physical evidence of transgender women having a huge leg up on cisgender women, and while I can understand feeling discomfort while watching that, I find that this trendy topic and legislation could easily be co-opted by the right for anti-trans policies. We just could not agree to disagree. I had brought up that this was enough reason for me to consider a break-up, and obviously this upset him, and he questioned if I could accept him regardless of our politics. That question was difficult for me to come to a strong conclusion, so then he asked if I could accept him if in 2024, if the candidates were again Trump versus Biden, he voted for Trump. And it's not just a hypothetical because if the election was tomorrow, that's what he'd vote. This surprised me initially, but in hindsight shouldn't have really, as he is constantly frustrated by the Biden administration's handling of inflation, economic policies, and Ukraine, and appreciated the economy during the Trump administration, as gas was much cheaper and his economic, foreign policies apparently did some good for the middle class. I'll admit, when it comes to concrete, citable details about policies and effects, he's much more knowledgeable, and part of me almost wants to believe him when he states that Trump is the lesser of two evils, as he believes Trump would deal with Ukraine better than Biden and avoid another World War III, unless China starts it. But with the direction of the Red Party, I find it hard to swallow that someone I'm sharing my life with could elect that man and the Republican Party back into office and the executive branch. I'm not exactly sure what Trump will do this time, but I am concerned about the safety of myself and women. But then again, maybe I don't really know anything, as I might be less educated in actual policy and am really just consuming leftist media. I don't know. I love this man, and he says he doesn't care about my politics and loves me no matter what. He just wants me to accept him in the same way. He's been very forgiving of my mistakes in the past, as I can sometimes be pretty thoughtless with his feelings and well-being. So why can't I accept someone who's otherwise pretty great for this? How can I approach this? Any advice, thoughts, criticism, etc. is appreciated. TL. Dr. My amazing boyfriend of 1.5 years and I often get into arguments about divisive topics, and he just revealed to me that if Trump and Biden were the 2024 candidates, he would vote for Trump as he's the lesser of two evils. I feel insanely distraught and lost right now. It's totally possible to agree to disagree on certain things. But when it comes to values and human rights, I'm not sure how you compromise there. I'd have been done with him over COVID and his science-denying BS. I fear this whole thread is just going to turn into a political debate itself. You ask how you should approach this, but what's your specific goal? I think the question here is, what is your end goal when approaching him? What exactly are you afraid of? What are your concerns with him having the views he has? How do I, 20F, get over my boyfriend, 20M, having a girl, 28F, over late at night? So I'm really flustered. My boyfriend had this girl over tonight at like 10 p.m. because apparently she was having a hard day and also needed help with an assignment. The common area of the apartment was apparently occupied, so they ended up going to his room. It's a university accommodation room, so it's not as intimate as a normal bedroom, but still. To make matters worse, they used to date while he and I were on a break. To make matters even worse, apparently she had also been drinking. We'll call my boyfriend Mike and the girl Leah. So before I was aware of the situation, I texted Mike at 10 p.m. tonight asking what he was up to. He said he was hanging out with Leah. I asked him where they were and he said in his room. I shrugged it off and texted again at 11 p.m. asking if she was still over. He said yes, so I said, "Can you send her home?" He asked why and I explained that it made me uncomfortable that he was hanging out with a girl he used to date at night in his room. Then he didn't respond to me for an hour and a half. By 12:30, I decided that I didn't trust the situation, so I called him multiple times. He finally answered and I asked him what the hell was going on. He told me that he had just sent Leah home. He also told me that she had been touchy. I told him how frustrated and angry and hurt I was, and we came to an agreement that we won't hang out with people who we have any kind of history with at night in private settings. I just can't believe this almost fucking 30-year-old woman thinks she can waltz into my boyfriend's bedroom, get drunk, and hug up to him. And that he'd let that happen in the first place. How do I get over this? I'm so angry. Hun, they hooked up. Please get a clue. I'm sure if you had been touchy with a drunk male for hours while ignoring his calls, he'd be totally forgiving and assume everything was on the up and up. When people disrespect your boundaries to such an extent, you leave them. You don't stick around for round 2 because next time he'll answer the phone and lie to you while she's giggling in the background. He's shown you his true colors, it's up to what you do with it. They absolutely hooked up. He cheated on you. Plain and simple. Then he didn't respond to me for an hour and a half. Yay, because it's rude to text while %hash. She wanted to seduce him for the ego boost of having him choose her even though he's in a relationship. He was enjoying the flirting and the attention, even if he had no intention of cheating. Both of them should have known better. How would he feel if your drunk ex came over late at night to hang out with you? My 24F boyfriend, 27M. Only wants BJ's and I'm bored. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years. In the beginning, our sex life was amazing. We connected on a deep level and did it often. I truly love giving him BJ's, but I'm getting tired of him not reciprocating. I give him head all the time and he doesn't seem to care about my pleasure. I usually just blow him until he comes, but really hoping he wants to fuck me without me asking. I feel so unsatisfied with our sex life and I've tried to talk to him about it, but he gets upset because I'm complaining, and that I shouldn't tell him I love giving him head if that's not true. I love giving him head, I just have needs too. I even go above and beyond and wear lingerie. Sex has always been important to me, I just feel used. Any advice? Edit. Just to clarify a few of the comments. I don't have a problem with initiating or asking him to have sex. The point is that I want to feel desired and I don't cause he rarely initiates it. Why do I always have to be the one to ask him to fuck me? Why can't he just do it? That's what I'm getting at. Another thing, when I'm going down on him, I ask him before he comes and he usually says, 2 more min, or does fuck me. It seems forced, especially cause he goes soft lol. The last time we had sex, he asked me why I was taking so long to come. Keep in mind, I blow him for at least 20 minutes. And when we do have sex, it's positions where I'm doing all the work still. I've been putting this off because I love him, but I've really reached my breaking point. Thank you for the advice. Any advice? Yeah. Stop man shrugging. Stop saying you love giving head. Start saying you love giving head in a sexually fulfilling relationship. I've tried to talk to him about it, but he gets upset because I'm complaining, and that I shouldn't tell him I love giving him head if that's not true. What a manipulative ass. You are just being used just like you feel. You're a catch. Move on to somebody who appreciates you are. I will never understand why women put up with this shit. Girl, you are 24. You have more options that you can imagine and you will never get this time in your life back. Why are you giving it to someone who doesn't give a shit about you? Edit. Doesn't give a shit about you anymore. I understand you may have had a deep connection 3 years ago, but obviously that isn't there anymore. Don't stick around because he used to love you. Tell him me first, and don't let him finish. I, am 32. Got into an argument with my wife, F29. Not sure what do. I am on a cruise with my wife and we were having a great time the last couple of days. However, during tonight's dinner, she was zoned out and ignored me completely. Even the waiter asks if everything okay with her. We were sitting next to other people, so I texted her and asked what is going on and if we should go back to the room. She just ignored my text. I text that she is making me very uncomfortable, especially when everyone around us chatting joyfully. She looks at the texts and ignores them. When we got back in the room, I got into a big argument because I asked her why did she ignore me and she was not in the mood and was time to herself. I asked her if she read my text and she said yes, but don't think she need to respond because she was not in the mood. I asked her what is going on, is she angry at me? She just said she need time by herself and she doesn't owe me any response. I ask her to have more compassion for me and me know next time so I am not worried if something is wrong and feel ignored by her. She then gets angry and says after 7 I still don't understand her. She walks out of the room and said she needed alone time. I worry for her, not sure what is going on with her as she just shuts me out. Normally I would brush this off and sleep separate room for a couple of days, as it can take several days for her to calm down. But we are on a cruise, we are sharing a room for another 3 days. I am not sure how to deal with her. That's some shitty behavior from her part. She is allowed to be upset about whatever, but she should not be just ignoring you like that. Wait till things cool down. Bring it up and make it clear that you are extremely uncomfortable with her behavior. She can't expect you to understand her if she doesn't communicate. Tell her that she can go through whatever she wants, but if instead of an adversary to her emotions she wants a partner that helps, she needs to communicate better. And that has nothing with you understanding her. Sounds like a classic, I expect you to read my mind and understand why I'm unhappy, and it's making me more unhappy that you have to ask. I was in a marriage like that, and let me tell you how wonderful it was to not have to walk on those eggshells anymore. Good luck. I saw your previous post. Why did you stop the divorce ideas and then went on a cruise with her? Be careful op and run once you're back home. She can be pissy all she wants. Keep to the cruise itinerary. This is some kind of control thing.